So many serious faces in here. Does anyone have like a lighthearted question?
All of us are editors. Hey, we're not lighthearted.
You guys look like I do on the sideline.
When you mentioned the idea of a clean slate and clear their minds, does that mean that you haven't watched the tapes from last year's games, or have you evaluated each player based on that film, or do you just not worry about that because it's all new?
Sure. No, I didn't watch any offense. I think I watched I ran through the Alabama game offensively. I didn't watch a ton of hardly any offensive film. And the reason why I watched Alabama is because I wanted to see a national championship program, which is a fantastic program, and how we matched up. And so I watched that whole game, both sides of the ball and special teams. But other than that, offensively, I didn't watch tape because I wanted to get to know these guys through face-to-face contact, get to know their academic background, get to know what they were doing here at school at Penn State, get to know them in winter conditioning as far as their athletic skill set, get to know them in spring practice as far as football players. And so I didn't want anything to clutter my mind. I just wanted to make sure that that I was judging them just solely based on what I saw. So that's what I've done to this point, especially offensively. I did watch some more defensive games just to get a feel for our personnel on defense, but I didn't do the same thing on offense.
Coach, where do you see Seth Lowe, Patriot News, where do you see as the line in terms of, now that you're the head of this football team, you're a public figure, as sports writers, we like to give our readers sort of a look at who the person is and who their families are. Where do you see it as that line between your personal life, where you will not discuss it with the media, and what's like okay for us to talk to you about in terms of you as a person and your story?
I'd say push the envelope, and I'll tell you when. But along those lines, though, thanks for that video of my parents down in Naples, Florida. Holy smokes, that'll be used at my dad's. We have a summer get together with my dad, and that'll be a little roast for him, and we'll roast him on that video. But no, I think obviously that was part of the discussion with my wife when you are offered a job like this, that you have to understand that you are the face of the program, and we understand that, and so. Our family we're a private family. We do have, like every family, we have our issues to deal with, and certain things will be out of bounds, but I'll let you know. Okay. But we feel very strongly about our family and our family in the public, and so we'll draw the line when we feel it needs to be drawn.
Have you been able to quantify, since you've last coached, how much the sport of college football has changed, just in terms of boosters and the corporate side of things and the BCS? And if so, do you maybe run your program more like a business, or how much of the NFL side of things do you bring to the program?
I probably haven't been able to quantify that as much because I've tried to just concentrate on our football program. There will be certain parts of our football program that will be run like an NFL team. Meetings, schemes. We're not holding anything back. We're gonna put in. We don't want any of these guys that we coach to have closed minds. We want them to have open minds, and they're bright guys, and we feel like we can feed them a lot of, as it relates to football scheme, a lot of things, and see how they handle it. So, but as far as, I have so many different things to worry about with our football team that I haven't even thought about the BCS or college football is, corporate sponsors and all those things. I really just think about who's going to be the #1 quarterback today in practice, and we alternate that every day. That's kind of what my thoughts are right now. So.
If you have a question, raise your hand.
How about going back to New England and giving Coach Belichick tips on how to deal with the media? Because I've heard more right now than I think since I've been dealing with him 15 years. More openness with the media. You haven't mumbled. You haven't said the same phrase 15 times. Come on, you could go back and teach him how to deal with the media, right?
He's a great friend, he's a mentor, and, you know, I believe in him and what he does, and you know, he's meant a lot to my career, so he has no need for any tips from me. I promise
He has
you.
no need for the media either.
That said, he was a legend when you went to work for him. What was that nerve-wracking? What was that like? What were your expectations going into to work with Coach Belichick?
When you go to work at New England, you're just a cog in the wheel. You're just a part of an organization that requires you to put your ego aside at the door if you have one, and work extremely hard. And in a lot of ways, you define your own role there. And that's what I loved about coaching there, because Bill was the type of guy that would give you the vision that he saw for the organization, the football team, the offense, the defense, the special teams, but then he would let you go and grow as a coach. And so I always thanked him for that. I'm very grateful. I haven't had a chance to talk to him. I wish I did. I know he turned 60 the other night, and they had a surprise birthday party for him, so I sent him a note. I hope I didn't ruin the surprise. But, you know, just a great guy to be around, and a great place to work.
How much did you deal with the media before taking this job, and are you going to wear a hoodie on the sideline?
No, I won't wear a hoodie. There's only one guy that wears hoodies. in my opinion. He's got the hoodie mastered, not me. Although I probably should wear something more than a baseball hat to cover up this bald head. I'll have a baseball hat on the sideline. You know, I dealt with the media. When I was at Georgia Tech, dealt with the media as the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, and that's a pretty big media market down there. This past year in New England, you know, coordinators are required to talk to the media, I think, once a week. It was Tuesdays or something like that, so dealt with the media. Obviously not to this extent, but you know, and like I was asked, I was trained in New England as to how to deal with the media. So. But no, not to this extent, but I have dealt with the media before I took the job here.
Bill, let me ask, have you formulated the kind of access our writers will have to your program yet?
I haven't to this point. I know right now we have some dates set up for the media to come in for practice. Basically, the way our practice is set up is we walk through schemes and things like that at the beginning of practice, and then we stretch, and then there's you know, about 20 to 25 minutes of individual periods. So at this point, it's basically stretch and then through the individual period, and then I ask the media to leave after that. And the reason being is I'm trying to get to know everybody, and also at the same time, there's a lot of video, and you know, so I'll come in the next morning at 5 a.m., I'll click on whatever website, and there's a video of our formations and things like that, or an audio of our cadence, and you know, I'm sorry, but can't do it. So, but I do welcome the media during that time period, and I think we have a few dates set for through spring practice, and then we'll decide what we're going to do for training camp.
Can you talk a little bit about how your family has received State College and Penn State? What have your kids found here that they found special? Your wife?
They just got here a week ago. I lived here for 2.5 months in the Penn State area. I was in room 253, I think. So they got here a week ago, and both kids, Jack, who's 9, and Michael, who's 6, started school, and obviously the school systems here are really good, and they've been very well received, and people have been great. And my wife, you know, she's unpacking boxes. I could say that I've helped, but that would be a complete lie. I told you in the beginning that I'm honest. So I haven't really unpacked any boxes, but I put my clothes away. That's about all I did. So she's busy, you know, with the house, and so that's kind of where we're at right now. But it's obvious that there's so many great people here that have reached out to us, and whether it's in our neighborhood or in State College or Penn State people. So it's been great to this point.
Coach, can you talk about injuries and the reporting of injuries? And obviously, college doesn't have the injury report like the NFL does, and obviously there's some manipulation of that injury report anyway, but what's your...
Brady's shoulder was hurt every week.
What's gonna be your policy as it relates to talking to the media about injuries and, without being required to say somebody is doubtful or probable or whatever, the NFL terms?
Sure.
What's your philosophy on that gonna be?
Right, well, I think the one thing, number one, is depending on the severity of the injury, I would like to be able to talk to the parents first before I release anything to the media. So that would be number one as it relates to college athletes. If a guy, God forbid, tears every ligament in his knee, I'd rather the parent not read about it in thestatecollege.com without hearing from me first. So that would be the first philosophy I would have on that, as best I could, adhere to that. And then after that, I mean, if it's an ankle sprain or something that, it is minor, then, I don't have, guy's got a hangnail, I'll tell you that he's got a hangnail, so. But I'd like to be able to talk to the parents first before I release anything to the media.
I guess I asked that because obviously, as I'm sure you're aware, there was a report last week about one of your players breaking a foot in practice, and then, I don't believe that's been confirmed by you or Jeff or anybody at the football program. So
No, he didn't, that was Devon Smith, he didn't break his foot, he sprained his foot and somehow he got a hold of a scooter and he's riding a scooter around and you guys saw him on the scooter and figured something was up with the crutches. I mean, not even the obvious escapes you guys, so. I figured there was something wrong with him. No, he just sprained his foot, but he'll be out for the rest of spring. With that, it's pretty significant sprain.
You've seen coaches leave the NFL ranks. Some have had more success than others. Is there any one thing or two that makes for that successful transition?
Paul, I don't think about that much. I think about being myself and understanding what I want, what our staff wants, and making sure that we carry out the vision that we see for Penn State football. I don't think about what other guys did when they left the NFL and went here and went there. I have respect for all coaches, and all I try to do is worry about what we have to do to make Penn State a successful football program.
But as you see it now, what's the biggest part of that transition?
From NFL to college?
Yes.
The recruiting is a big transition for me. The recruiting has changed since I was an assistant coach 5 years ago with all the social media and all the internet websites and things like that all the information out there, that's changed. The field dimensions of the field itself is totally different. The hash marks in the NFL are very close. I mean, I know it sounds crazy to you guys, but it's a huge adjustment for me. Landmarks for routes on the field, landmarks for different things on the field has been a huge adjustment for me, something that I got to actually do a better job with. Certain rules, for instance, in the NFL, after 5 yards, a defensive back can't touch a receiver. And in college, that's not the case. So the rules are different, certain rules are different. So that's been probably the biggest adjustments for me.
Any other questions?
Well, have you given some thought to walking out first game, 108,000? I know you've been in packed houses before, but when that stadium is full, it's one of the loudest places on earth. Have you thought about that and your emotions
Not really. Pretty focused guy, so when we take the field for that first game, I'm sure I'll be excited, obviously, but, excuse me, I'll be focused on the game, and that'll be the number one priority, is doing whatever we gotta do within the rules to win the football game. But I know that it's a tremendous atmosphere, and, it's gonna be really a neat thing to be a part of, but haven't really thought too much about. Again, I think about, like this morning I came in and I thought about recruiting, then I thought about academics, then I thought about practice for tomorrow. I try try to keep it pretty simple. I'm not as bright as some of you guys, so.
What is your daily schedule? I mean,
Yeah, I'm an early morning guy, so I like to get in early, before most of the staff gets in there, and I get a lot of things done early in the morning, but I try to budget my time, so what I try to do early in the morning is work on recruiting, whether it's watch a prospect video or write a note or whatever it may be, and then I do what I call checkups on our academics, you know, our kids, how they're doing in school, because I get daily updates on our kids' academics, and so I check that, and then in the afternoon, it's football. Now in spring practice, you know, obviously on practice days, I pretty much am concentrating on football on the practice days, and then on the off days, I try to catch up with recruiting and academics and things like that.
and Sundays, is that?
I go to church, I go to Good Shepherd and go to church, 9 a.m. mass, and I try to stay till the end, not leave early.
Anyone else?
What do you do for fun, Coach?
Nothing, no.
We're talking about us being serious.
Yeah. As you can tell, I like to laugh, so we have good humor in my house. My wife gets a little sick of it. My humor sometimes. No, but I like to read. I love to play golf. I stink. I mean, my handicap is playing, but I love to play. And then obviously, you know, number one would be hanging out with my family. All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.